How does it feel to be number one? First of all, these microphones are a fair distance from you. Do you think you can lean forward a bit?
Yeah.
How does it feel to be number one?
Well, a shock and very, very, very elated. It's a really good feeling. But we've been in the middle of a tour for about 4 weeks in the States. We took a week off in England, so we really hadn't had time to sit back and realise what happened.
What's your reaction to the death of Jimi Hendrix?
Well, I didn't know anything about it until half an hour ago, and I'm still stumbling around trying to believe that it happened, you know.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy.
What's your reaction to the fact that he died from an overdose of drugs, reportedly?
Well, that's what makes it hard to comprehend that the whole thing happened. You know.
Why?
Well, it's just such a shock when the statement is made like that, especially at 10:30 in the morning.
Do you in your songs advocate the use of drugs?
No, not at all.
No? Not at all?
Not at all.
The group that was number one, the Beatles, found that just this past week had their songs quoted by Spiro Agnew. Would you like that to happen to you?
I really don't know. I haven't seen Spiro at any of our concerts yet.
I thought he was a model for a wristwatch, wasn't he?
Well.
That's the sort of thing you have to face, you know, if you're going to be successful.
Really? Well, I'd like to meet
nice.
him. Does he come to the concert?
What's the difference between you and the Beatles as far as your music is concerned?
Well, I don't know. I suppose you'd equate the two by saying that they're both statements of what's going on in the music scene today. But we're completely unlike the Beatles, I would have thought, in our music.
Well, how do you
So.
feel about the Beatles?
I think they're great. They've done some fantastic statements.
Have you taken, have they been in any way kind of the leaders for you, even, or have you emulated in any way? Any of
No,
their-
not for myself, not consciously, no.
I think they've
Obviously one's heard what they've done because it was pumped through the media all the time.
I think the fact that they got through to so many millions and millions of people has been an inspiration for every performing group in England, and I should imagine in the world. You know, the fact that they got over so much to so many people.
Would you say at this point in time that they seem to appeal to a slightly older group than you do, and that you're getting the younger kids coming up?
I should imagine that it's the same for every group who achieves a success on a large scale. You can't always apply your success just to one age group of people, because the bigger you get, the more wide your limits become.
Do you ever hope to achieve the Order of the Garter, as have your predecessor?
What's that, the Can-Can?
I don't know. Oh, the MBE.
Oh, that.
Yes.
Oh,
No, I think they've given up on the people like us for that, haven't they?
After
one was returned, I should think that...
talk a little louder.
Yeah, move your closer to the
Right.
Get close to the mic and project a little bit. You're talking to people near you.
Yeah. Ah, good morning.
So there, are you?
I'd like to ask another question about the Jimi Hendrix death. Is that there has been this very, very close association in the minds of a great many people between drugs and rock music. And when someone like Hendrix, who was such a great star, dies and it says drug overdose, everyone sort of says, aha, you know, I knew it. What do you think of that type of thinking?
Well, that's being put into people's minds so much by medias that, you know, get through to a lot of people, like, you know, press,
like this one, yeah.
Press and television and things like that. As soon as one person on the rock scene makes an example of himself, then I think it's the usual thing for everybody around to sort of attach that to everybody else in the business. So therefore, the whole thing becomes quite warped, you know, the whole idea of drugs and rock. And I think rock is enjoyment and complete, you know, loosing the inhibitions and just really having a good time. It doesn't really have to apply to drugs or something.
Did you know Hendrix, by the way?
No.
Did you?
Yes, I met him a few times. But I'd like to say, what about Judy Garland and Edith Piaf and people like that are supposed to appeal to the older generation? You know, surely there's some tie-up there with drugs, isn't there?
Do you feel that perhaps this image projected about rock groups is created by the generation gap, by older people who perhaps don't understand and find that this is the easiest way to make themselves understand?
Yeah, probably. I'll give you a straight yes on that. I won't elaborate.
Well, in terms of this, do you feel that rock groups have not been given the proper feelings, the proper image by the...
Of course, they've never been allowed to get across. I suppose less so in England, because the media is pretty biased as to rock music, and as far as television coverage and radio, it's virtually swept under the carpet. It's given very bad viewing times, not peak hours at all. So that speaks for itself, really, doesn't it?
You do message songs. What is the message that you're trying to get across, if each of you might answer?
Forget about what everybody tells you you're supposed to be doing when you're listening to us and enjoy yourself. How's that?
Is there a message?
There's just a sort of a message of enjoyment, you know. The whole idea of music from the beginning of time was for people to, you know, be happy and to enjoy themselves the best they can. Unfortunately, in a lot of places that we've gone to, trying to, you know, sort of convey a little of that sort of feeling, the audiences have got the message, stood up to applaud, and got banged on the head with sticks and things like that, which is very unfortunate, really, because I'm sure those people with the sticks go home and hang around the room to Glenn Miller on a Saturday night or something like that, and they feel good, you know. So why can't it extend to the children?
What about you? Can we get back to the question?
Than I care to know.
Well, what about some of the messages that are in the songs? Are you in favor? They reflect your own feelings.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, but there's never been anything that any message that really announces anything new, or listen to this, or you must do this and that. You know, because I don't think that, you know, it's our job to do that.
Marshal thought anyway. No.
If we are in a position where there's a lot of people listening to what we say, then to try and marshal thought would be probably the wrong thing to do.
I have a rather obvious question, but perhaps you'll indulge me. There's a phrase, going over like a lead balloon, and I was wondering whether the Zeppelin had more of a chance than a balloon in your mind. What was the origin of that name?
Yeah, it is a play on words like that. Led Zeppelin has the same connotations as lead balloon has over here.
Do you think that, in view of the fact that you've unseated the Beatles, that you know, the Led Zeppelin may be in a better position than the balloon?
Well, at the moment we hope it is.
Yeah, right.
Could I ask you one other question about Jimi Hendrix, apart from the way that he died? What did you think of him as an entertainer, as a musician?
Brilliant. Yeah. He was completely fresh when he came along, you know. The first time I heard one of his records, it was Hey Joe was the first record I ever heard. And the atmosphere on the record was something that you can really capture on wax. You know. It was an incredible sound.
What kind of an entertainer was he?
Well, I think he was the same as what we've just said about entertainment, really. He'd go on stage and put every iota of everything that he'd got inside him at the time into what he was doing, and the audience felt that.
Yeah.
You know, the reactions that you know of that he received are indications of that.
How does the reaction to your group differ in the or does it differ in the United States to England? Are you a smash over here as well as over there? As much of?
Well, there's more people here. That's so. Therefore, it's a it's a proportional difference, really. It's probably the same, but on a different scale here.
Did you expect this kind of appreciation of what you do?
And not to begin with, because
Not to this extent.
No.
We knew we were appreciated by the fact that people were coming along to see us in such great, vast numbers, all over the place, England and the continent and wherever. But no one expected this.
Certainly not.
Does the name Madison Square Garden have a certain ring to it in New York? You've never appeared there before.
Yeah, ball games.
No, I don't.
And that sort of thing. So we managed to do away with that idea.
Well, the Stones didn't play in a revolving stage.
No.
They played in the proscenium setup, which is...
Yeah, but Blind Faith played there before, on those lines.
Okay. When you think of Madison Square Garden, you haven't appeared there yet, but you're going to. What do you think?
I think it's football.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's a bloomer, isn't it?
Yeah. They don't have many rock concerts there, though, do they? So that's what one has to think of, because that takes top priority.
You know anything about ice hockey?
Well,
Yeah.
I've seen it, yeah.
I saw a guy on one of those cities everywhere, and he was advocating what a great game it was.
You know, that happens.
It's like those sticks, you know. What do they sharpen them with? I really, I'm just...
Do you think that rock music is a gentler sort of sport?
Sure, there's not so much brawl needed, is there? That's all brawl.
What other question? How do your record sales in the United States compare to your record sales in Europe and England?
Well, obviously, it relates to how many people, the populace, doesn't it?
Well,
And as it's a smaller populace in at least England,
proportionately, how do they?
proportionately, I should say it's about the same.
About the
isn't it?
same, yeah, because the second album that did it very well here has been on the English charts for about 47 weeks now. So, although it doesn't sell on a large scale, that it does over here, it's still an indication of what of what's happening. Yeah, we
Seal the
I remember
line.
one.
The rock groups are just pricing themselves right out of the smaller halls like the Fillmore or the Capitol.
We worked for him 2 weeks ago.
And he said that in like about a year or so, if you guys all keep charging so much, nobody will be able to carry it, except maybe the garden.
Well, it'd be what it was 2 years ago. Maybe that's what he really means to say.
All right, we okay?
Exhausted.
We're finished.
Okay.
All right, I want to get Hendrix. Okay,